Welcome everyone, and we really appreciate your time and joining us today regarding our Medicare Center training. So welcome. This is one of 3 trainings that we are offering to really get you familiarized with our Medicare Center online enrollment platform tool. My name is Jamie LeBron, and I'm the Northeast Ohio Sales Director for Medicare. And Matt Fry, who's our Operations Manager, will be conducting the training. So if you have any questions, there's going to be some housekeeping that we'll cover. We will address questions as we go. And our strategy is your success. So our goal is to deliver the products, technology, and resources that allow you to meet the unique needs of your Medicare market clients. We work very hard to do that, and we have a number of different tools to assist you. With our training, as I mentioned, it's just going to be one of 3 that Matt Fry is going to be hosting. So today we're going to be really discussing the MedicareAPP portion of the Medicare Center tool. So some housekeeping very quickly. Please make sure your phones are muted just to be respectful of sound. And if you have any questions or comments, we are going to have a chat box. Please type it in the chat box, and we will try to address it as we go, or if not, we will definitely address it at the end of the presentation and open up to other questions as well. And the presentation is being recorded, so if you want to take a look back at the information that's being shared today, you'll have the opportunity to do that via our website. Our agent toolkit we have on our website, which is www.cornerstoneseniormarketing.com. At the very top, you'll see a tab that says Agent Toolkit. In the toolkit, we have a number of different tools that are available for you to utilize. Technology and resources are available to help you grow your business. And some of those tools include information regarding our CSG quoting tool, our online service discount program. So if you have an interest in social media, we have that available. We also have discount mailer programs that are in place and mailing lists. Also, we have our Clever RX, which is a discount drug card that's available for you if you have interest in trying to help clients save money on their prescription costs. And then MD Live, which is a tool or product that we have available for folks who might want to set up virtual visits with a primary care doctor. So, and then within our Medicare Center with client marketing, we have it broken out where there's different tools that are available, and these are templated tools that are customizable to your name, your agency logo, and contact information, which includes presentations, a variety of flyers and postcards and brochures. We have the custom options that are available, and we have many more items in there. So we have flyers, postcards, just material regarding Medicare in general, just to help you provide different marketing pieces that you can use out there in the field. Clever RX, as I mentioned, that is a discount drug app that we have available, and we can help to get you contracted for that. Just feel free to reach out to me, and we can get a contract sent out to you. Basically, it's co-branding Clever RX with your agency, and it'll help you save clients up to 80% on their prescription drugs. It's very easy to use. There is an app that you can add onto your website if you have a website, and the prices are guaranteed to be the same on the app as in the pharmacy. And oftentimes, it's lower than the copay and frequently beats other discount cards, and it's free for you and your clients. There's no cost for your clients to utilize this, and the unique aspect regarding our Clever RX is that you would be compensated based on any prescription that is being filled. So Good RX is out there, and I get the question all the time, well, Jamie, what's the difference? And Good RX is a discount card as well that works with a number of name brand pharmacies out there. But Clever RX has contracts with name brand pharmacies as well. You know, to give you a couple of examples, like Walgreens, for example, CVS, they're a part of that. So it's really just a matter of what card's going to get the better discount. But at least you know if it's the Clever RX that they're using, you will be compensated on that. So, and this is not just for seniors, this is for anybody. So if they're under 65 and want to take advantage of some discounts, you can provide this card to them and they can take advantage of it. It also works for pets. So if you have pets or folks with pets that need to get prescriptions for their pets, they can utilize this discount card and you'll still get compensated for it. So it's really a unique feature that we have available. So please inquire with me if you have any questions. And again, just a quick recap. So on our website, take a look at www.cornerstoneseniormarketing.com. At the very top, the agent toolkit. There's no login, there's no username. It's all information that's out there that you can kind of look at And if you have any particular questions, please feel free to reach out to me or your respective sales director in your particular area. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt Fry, who's our operations manager. And Matt is going to review our first in the 3 series regarding Medicare Center, and he's going to discuss and share training on the Medicare app. So Matt, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that introduction. I'm really happy that you guys all took the time out of your morning to join me today to learn a little bit more about Medicare Center, and today learn a little bit more specifically about MedicareAPP inside of this platform. Hopefully you guys are seeing my screen okay, and I just wanted to take a moment here before I really began to emphasize what Jamie kind of went over there, I think on the 2nd or 3rd slide, in that you guys are muted, but if you could or have questions as I'm going through this is kind of a interactive, presentation here today. I know a lot of you guys, just based on the attendee names here that I'm seeing, I know a lot of you are already using this system. So if you guys have questions or unique questions, just put them in the chat box. We'll either try to address them as I'm going through them if they're timely, or I will circle back at the end to answer any and all questions. So now, Medicare Center is a website, so all you have to do is have internet access to be able to access the platform. Now, it is still geared towards PCs, laptops, computers, and some tablets as well. It's not quite optimized for smartphones yet, but so if you're utilizing this system, and especially utilizing with your clients or for your clients, I still recommend using it through your PC or your tablet. But the good news is that it's been tested in multiple internet browsers. I prefer Firefox just for whatever reason. I have a lot of users that use Google Chrome, Edge, even Safari if you're an Apple user. We've tested it in all of them. So just kind of know that as we go through here. So, to access it, it really is just www.medicarecenter.com. If you're new to Medicare Center and you've never used it before, the first thing that you'll want to do is register. So when you come to this site, down here right below the login button is a link to register. And if you click that, all you have to do is basically fill out all of this required information. A lot of the information that you'll have access to is tied to your national producer number. So just make sure that you're utilizing that as well here. Because what we do is we get reports from the carriers, we load in your selling permissions based on your ready to sell status, that sort of thing. And so it's key that you're utilizing the NPN number to register. So if you would have hit login back there, it's going to take you to this login screen. Now I'm already got my stuff here set up just so I could take some time. But in case you ever do register, you forget your password, you can click this link, forgot password, to reset it, and then it will send a prompt to that email address that you did register with. And to get registered, it is a couple-step process. You register, the system sends you an email, you confirm that registration email, and then at that point you're able to log on. Now, once we are logged in, I mentioned today we're going to focus on MedicareAPP. So MedicareAPP is under this Medicare Advantage and PDP button, and then it's this top option. But real quick, before that I get into that and spend the bulk of my time here today in that, I just wanted to highlight a couple of other things. So Medicare Link is the next presentation I will be doing it on, and then this is the second of the enrollment tools that's available in Medicare Center. We also have a quoting tool, Medicare Supplement. If you click this button, it's actually going to load up and take you out to the CSG site. I should not maybe have clicked that. No, there we go. But interesting news, just if you might have saw it even come across your newsfeed here this morning, we're very excited that CSG Actuarial, the team that utilizes, that you guys might be familiar with CSG, they just joined Integrity. That was just announced this morning. So they are now a part of Integrity Marketing Group as well, just like Cornerstone. So we are partners. And I'm very, very excited about where we can go from here with that in mind. And that third and final training, I will be doing it specifically just on CSG. So The third button over here is a client management tool. I've been getting some questions on this as it relates to MedicareAPP, so I wanted to just spend a little bit of time here because on the inside of the client management tool, this is something that basically is available inside of Medicare Center. It's a online CRM or client relationship management tool that's available to you. However, this tool, as it stands today, does not communicate with or share information with MedicareAPP. So if you put a client inside of this client management tool to maybe follow up, on leads or something like that, it's not going to pre-populate that information in MedicareAPP. So you do have to put in the information into both sides or into both tools. So we haven't seen a lot of utilization on that, but if you don't have your own CRM tool, this is a great addition to what we can offer you. And then down here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this either, but we do have a learning center. We're continuing to add more and more documents to this platform. If you come out here today and you have questions, right under Tech Guide, the very first one is the MedicareAPP Technical Guide. So this is for 2021, and it'll go over a lot of that same information that I'm going to show you here today. So with that in mind, let's all learn about MedicareAPP like we came here to do today. This link right below MedicareAPP where it says Access Medicare Center 2020, that is a link that is no longer valid. So if you click on that, it's going to say site not found. This past AEP, that was still out there because some of you guys maybe had 11/1 or 12/1 effective dates. And if you've been with us and using our online enrollment platform, Medicare Center, for these last couple of years, this year was a major change for Medicare Center. It was kind of a rebranding. We added additional tools inside of Medicare Center. And for plan years 2020 and 2019, it was solely just one tool, one enrollment platform, and some people had client information and applications and scopes of appointments out there on the old Medicare Center site, and that was a link to that. But moving forward, all you'll have to do is click that Medicare Advantage and PDP button, and then click MedicareAPP. And MedicareAPP, once you click onto that site or click onto that link, is going to take you to the MedicareAPP site. Now, this is powered by Connecture, which, if that name rings a bell with you, that is the same company that manages and hosts Medicare.gov. And so you still see some similarities between both sites here, between MedicareAPP and Medicare.gov. And the first thing that you're brought to when you first log in is this Search Beneficiaries section. And the Search Beneficiaries section is after you've established some clients inside of this platform. This is where you can go back to pull up that profile that you've already created, or maybe if you've taken an application over AEP and you wanted to pull up that application, you could search it by the confirmation number. Or one question that I get a lot is there was some changes between the 2020 site and the 2021 site for Connecture. And the best way that I would recommend that you guys, if you wanted to pull a list of all the enrollments that you've done through this tool, is to actually use these application start and end dates. So you could simply, like for maybe you wanted to track your enrollments that you've done since the start of the year, or maybe you're tracking your OEP enrollments, because we're in OEP right now. You could start, going 01, 2021 and through today's date. And then and if you hit search profiles, it's going to pull up any enrollments that you completed through the system under that time frame. So that's a great way that you can kind of track your enrollments and the clients that you helped. But I want to also just on this page go through a couple of other things. Up here on the top is kind of your navigation tool as well. So if I click search, it would bring me to the same page. If I clicked plans, it's going to jump me right to the end where I'm going to plug in a zip code, and then it's going to pull up all the plans that are available to me inside of that zip code. This new profile is the button that we will use if we are entering in a new profile into the system, and I will go through that example here momentarily. And then finally, before that I do go through that example of the putting in a new client and going through the platform for an enrollment, I want to touch base on this. So this says my name, Matt Fry, because I'm the agent that logged in under my NPN number. When you log in, you will see your name right up here. And if you click your name and then click account overview, there's a lot of good information here under this account overview that I wanted you to be aware of. First and foremost, inside of this gray box is this My Shopping link. And you can simply click this copy link button. And if you do that and throw it in, let's say another browser, this is going to take you out to a consumer-facing site that is unique to you, the agent. So your link is different than my link, but if I, let's say, put this link out on either my social media or my website or something like that, or maybe you have it in your email signature, your client can click that link, come out here and shop and even go through the enrollment process themselves without you ever having to touch it. You'll see my information's up here. When you use that same link, you'll see your information. And if your clients shop around, they will only be able to see the carriers in which you are ready to sell. So that means if they do anything on that platform or that site, you will get credit for it. And so the next thing on here, this personal information and account information, this is all the information we have tied to you, the user. But the only other thing that I really want to highlight under this account overview section for yourself is these active selling permissions. It'll tell you the plan years and the carriers in which you're going to be able to see inside of this platform. So, for instance, I only get, certified with a couple of carriers because I don't actually sell. So that's why I only have a handful of carriers here. But let's go through that example of adding a new profile and then really exploring the system. Okay, so I'm just going to go through here. You can see here that really there's, only a handful of fields that we need, and that's zip code and first and last name. Now, I do recommend that you do take the time to fill out the rest of this information, though, because it will help you navigate through, help you pre-populate certain selections on future fields, especially kind of date of birth and email address. And I'm going to do that right now. And that number that you're seeing, that's my direct line in case you guys ever have any questions after this. And to Jamie's point, we are recording this and we'll be placing this on our website here, after this concludes. Okay, so something a little bit new this year as opposed to years before, if you ever used it. Up here in the top right is where you can go to add notes. So you can add notes to this profile by just clicking this button. It's going to bring up this section, and this is just a free form note field, so you can add whatever notes on your client that you would like to add, as well as, for instance, if you wanted to create a follow-up task for yourself to maybe reach out to this member, you can click this add task, create your due date for that by clicking this little calendar, selecting it, and then labeling your task, and then saving. And all that information will be displayed under here under the profile. Also new this year that we added was the ability to actually add somebody else's information on the profile if maybe, for instance, you work with a power of attorney. So maybe that sales contact is different from the person that you're putting into the system. And you could just simply click yes there and then, put their relationship and their information here as well so that you can have it all in one spot. Under additional info as well, there's a section for Medicare ID number, Part A and B effective date, current plan if you know it, and then this open field really is just that. It's another open field for you to just type whatever it is that you'd like. Now, the important thing to note here, and I know that I've talked with connecture and they're aware of some feedback, this is still, this information, these 5 fields that are in our additional information are not pushing forward to the enrollment tool, or to the enrollment application, I should say. All of the rest of this information, name, date of birth, email address, all of that is pushing forward to the application for the member so that you don't have to pre-populate it again. But these 5 fields do not do that. But we're working, I think we're working on that to try to push that forward. So after we have the client basically entered in, we just have to hit that blue save button. And after we hit that save button, now the client information is saved into the platform, and moving forward, you can click this search function, go back to that search beneficiary page we started on, and then search for them and click their name to pull up this same view. So, test January 2021 is in the system now. And you'll notice maybe as well, after I hit save, there is a quote history and enrollment history now. So as we move forward in here, there will be additional information that goes through here. So if you do take an enrollment on a member, that member's enrollment information is going to be here. It's going to be time-stamped. It's going to tell you the plan in which you enrolled. It'll provide you with a confirmation number, and there will even be a link for you to be able to pull up and view a PDF version of that enrollment in case you ever needed to print it for your files. So at this point, we're done on this just general demographic profile info page, and I'm going to move forward into the system. And at the bottom, you'll see that there's basically 3 options. We can click here to add preferences, click the gray box to continue to SOA, or the blue button that says continue to plans. So if I click continue to plans, it's actually going to jump me past all of the other things that we can add into the system. So for the time being, I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to follow the gray box. Really, the gray box, if you just continue to click the gray box, it'll take you all the way through the platform for your member, and you're going to be able to put in all the preferences that you like. So the first thing is continue to SOA. So SOA meaning scope of appointment. Now this year, we added the ability to text a scope of appointment to your clients, which is very good. We also have, just like in years past, where you can email an electronic scope of appointment to your member to have them complete. And I'm going to show you that process here today, the email. But if you do text the member, and that's just coming over to me. Give me 1 second here. I wanted to show you this. This is kind of what it looks like. So if you do the text, your member just on their smartphone is going to get something like this. It's just going to come from this 205 number, and it's going to say complete your scope of appointment from MedicareAPP with the link. And if they click that on their smartphone, it's just going to take them out to the page where they can put in their demographic thing and then submit it back to you, and then it's captured at that point. Where I recommend using the text as opposed to the email is maybe if you have a husband and wife that share the same email address, they don't each have their own email, they have a family email, let's say, but they each have their own smartphone. It's a good way to make sure that nothing happens in the system, meaning like the right scope gets sent to, attached to the right profile, because if they get all of these emails at once, the husband might click on the wife might click on the husband, so on and so forth. So I wanted to kind of go over that as well. And then you also see here the other 2 buttons here is the print consumer form. This will just pull up a blank PDF of the scope of appointment form that you can use if you ever needed it. Or if you took a paper scope from maybe, let's say, a carrier, you can always upload a copy of that scope of appointment here as well, so that it's captured in the system. Now, I did get the question, is the SOA pre-populated with the name, etc.? So that is also a request that a couple people have given me some feedback on, and I've sent it over to Connecture, and I have relayed that myself as well. But as it stands today, that information for your client does not carry over. It asks the client to fill it out. So let me just show you what that does look like. So we sent the text, but I'm going to also send the email so that you can see that. And it goes over very quickly. You see, I mean, it's there already. It's going to come from that do not reply at drx.com, but it's going to have their first name here, your information at the bottom, and then all they have to do is click this blue box to complete the scope of appointment.
Wow.
And this is just a generic scope of appointment. So, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of information here, but they do have to complete, like I said, basically their demographic information. But I always recommend you tell the client to check mark all these boxes so that you can have it captured, that you can talk about any and all products as it comes up. And then there's no signature, but there is just this box that they have to check that they understand that they're completing a scope of appointment, and then click submit form. And sorry, Stacy, I missed your question in regards to the tasks, so I'll get to that here at the end. Sorry, I'll circle back up around on those tasks. So after you've completed the scope of appointment, or your client, excuse me, has completed their portion, they're just going to get this prompt that, you know, thank you, your scope of appointment's been submitted. And then you, the agent, let's see here, is actually going to get an email from the system that, you know, Test has completed their portion of the SOA, and that you have to log in basically to complete your portion of the SOA. But the system does send you notice once that's done. So if I'm doing this real time, I can just refresh the page, or if I maybe sent this and then came back in and logged in later, I could just simply search for their profile, pull it up, navigate over here to the SOA section, and I'm going to see this same thing. So you can see that Test January completed it on today, 1/26, but us, the agent, just like on a paper scope of appointment, there's a section for you to complete. The same holds true here, so we just have to click this box to complete the form as the agent. Your information does come over. I'm just going to go through this quickly here. I'm going to check mark this box, and then there is this year. There's a section for you to sign. We find out it's not necessarily required, but it's a good habit to get into. So if you're completing out your scope of appointments, I just go ahead and add your signature. And then you can click this submit broker form. And then at that point, you'll notice this turn to like a little green check mark. It shows completed. And then this link now goes to this view section, where if I would ever need to, or a carrier would come back and request a copy of the scope of appointment at any point in time, I can pull up that copy so that they can have they have it. It's time stamped. You know, everything is all good for your client. So the next thing I'd mention, we're just going to kind of follow these gray boxes. So I'm just going to click this Add Preferences button. So we did have the question, when will Devoted Health be active on Medicare Center? So right now you should be able to quote it by loading in your non-licensed plans for Devoted Health, and I'll get to that here in a moment to kind of show you that. But Devoted Health was new to the Northeast market here this year, and they were a little bit late in the discussions to work with Connecture. So when that happens, it's by plan year. So my anticipation is Devoted Health would hopefully be on the Connecture platform for plan year 2022. So this upcoming AEP, they should be added, but I don't anticipate that they'll be added before then for the plan year 2021. So the next thing, when I click that Add Preferences button, there's a number of different things that are built in here, including prescriptions. But on this first Getting Started button, it's kind of hidden. We have to make a selection here in regards to what coverage we're interested in. But after we've made that selection, you can add whether they get extra help. So maybe they are dual eligible and they receive help from Medicaid. That does play a factor in your quote comparisons and costs when we get to the plans page. So I just want to mention that to you. If you have clients that are dual eligible and you want to see some of those cost savings, you have to make those selections here under the Get Started. But I'll just put I don't know and click Continue. This health button, this is completely optional whether you use this or not. I know we're not necessarily supposed to ask health questions of Medicare beneficiaries. However, if you know that they're on, 10, 15 medications, more likely they're not generally healthy, so you might want to move that over to some health needs or significant health needs. So what that does is you'll see here after a moment that there is also a section for estimated medical costs, which this all factors into, age and their health. The next section is the prescriptions box. So there's two different ways you can enter in the prescriptions. You can do it manually by just searching for their prescription, typing it in, and it's going to pull up the most commonly prescribed dosage and quantity. If you type in a brand name drug, it's going to prompt you to use the generic if you'd like for cost savings, and it'll automatically convert that over to the generic. And then you can see here these little X's, we can edit it. As we move forward here, we've added drugs and then we hit continue. This prescription information is going to save year over year on your client's profile. So the great news is that this time next year, if you've taken the time this year to load in all of your clients, you're just simply going to search for the clients, pull them up, navigate over here to the prescriptions page, edit maybe any of the dosages or remove anything that they're not taking any longer, and then simply just adding any more that they have to take. The other method that you can use to pull in prescription information so that you don't manually have to enter these yourself is if your client has a mymedicare.gov profile. You see here in this gray box that you can send them an email to basically give Connecture and MedicareAPP access to their claims information and claims data for their prescriptions so that it can download all of that information directly from Medicare. So let me just show you what that email looks like very quickly. The client does have to give Connecture access before it's able to do that. So that email will come into your client. There it is. For them to log in to their mymedicare.gov. If they click that blue button, it's going to take them right out to medicare.gov where they will sign in. And then after they sign in, I don't have a medicare.gov account, I'm sorry, for example purposes. But after they sign in, they will be taken to the page where they are asked the questions of whether they will give permission to their prescription information to Connecture. And then after they've acknowledged that and they've released that information to Connecture, this will start to spin, and then the medications will populate down here below. So I'm just going to call this complete and hit continue. The last thing is the pharmacy. So this is kind of based on the zip code. Now, if you ever need to pull in more pharmacies, you can kind of click these, arrows, and then eventually here, if I go out farther, it should be pulling in other ones. Well, I don't know why it's not. That's usually supposed to how it works. It'll pull in additional ones, but you can always update different zip codes too, and it's going to pull in other prescriptions based on the zip codes. And you can just make your selection. So maybe they fill it at Giant Eagle here in Powell. It's right next door. We're right there. So I'm going to click continue. Now, what the pharmacies, it'll only allow you to select one, but you don't have to select one. So if you don't select any, it's just going to load up, I think, standard pharmacy costs across the board, so that you can shop that way. But unlike Medicare.gov, it does not allow you to select multiple pharmacies. And that's yet, because that's another feedback that I've been giving them for quite some time, and I know that they're working on. This is the plans page. So basically, if we would have hit plans up here originally, this is also a page that you would have got brought into, just it wouldn't have any preferences for your client. And without those preferences, it wouldn't be able to estimate drug costs or annual costs, really. It's just going to show you the cost for the plans. This first tab is the Medicare Advantage with prescription drug plans. You can see here there's 3 other tabs. This Medicare Advantage plans are MA only, so Medicare Advantage with no prescription drug coverage. And this third tab is your just prescription drug plans, your PDPs. This fourth and final tab, the Medicare Supplements, it's not really been built out. It's a feature and function that Connecture started with, but there's different discussions and different things that we have to do with the carriers to get them on this platform. And I anticipate, right now, if you want to quote med supplements, it would be my suggestion that you use CSG, because CSG will quote any and all med sup carriers. So really, MedicareAPP is going to be best used for Medicare Advantage and PDP enrollment. So if you ever needed to update the zip code, you can do it by just clicking this edit the zip code. This other thing here, I mentioned this earlier when we were kind of answering that question for Devoted Health, is to add non-licensed plans. You see here, like for instance, like I can only shop right now because I'm only ready to sell Anthem, Medical Mutual, Medigold, and United Healthcare. So it's only going to pull up those carriers. But if I add in these non-licensed plans, takes a moment. But basically what this does, this adds in, kind of like how Medicare.gov will search for all plans. This will do the same now as well. So you can see here, now I got Aetna, now I got, CareSource, I got Molina, I got the health plan, all these things. And I can filter by any of these, or I can filter by plan type. So maybe I just wanted to look at, Humana. Now all of a sudden I can. Now you'll see here, if I'm not ready to sell, it's going to tell me that I'm not licensed to sell, and I cannot send the clients quotes, or I cannot enroll those plans until I get ready to sell. But I'm going to clear these. Sorry, this is going a little bit slow here today. All right, so I'm just going to find another one here. So let's just look at United Healthcare. That's in one kind of popular. So I'm just going to kind of look at this AERP Plan 5. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways that we can send information to clients. If you want to only send one carrier, you can click this Add to Quote. And if you do, up here at the very very top, it's going to start to compile this information, and you can send up to 3. So maybe we want to send them the Anthem. Oh, sorry, the Anthem as well, and then maybe the Medigold. You can select up to 3, and then you just simply click Send Quote. When we click Send Quote, I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a moment. You can just type in your client's email address if you haven't already, provide your own special message, and then send quote. It's going to send them information on both of those plans, or all 3 of those plans. You can also look at a comparison inside of this system. So let's look at those same 3 plans by clicking those little boxes up at the top right-hand corner. And maybe we'll just add Molina even though I'm not ready to sell. And then after we've done that, you can see here, we can click this Compare Now button, and it's going to show us a comparison inside of this system that's compliant, and you can actually send the quote to your client. Now, if I were to send this quote, it's not going to send them Molina because I'm not ready to sell, and there's prompts when your clients receive this information for them to be able to enroll themselves. And we want anything that gets sent to your client for you to get credit for them if they do in fact enroll. But before I send that quote, I also want to show you a lot of good quality information is in this plan details section. Each carrier has a plan details, so it's just going to break down costs, it's going to break down benefit information, it's gonna, down here at the bottom, if the plans provided them, it will have plan documents. So you can see here, here's the summary benefits for that. Here's the paper PDF version of the enrollment application, evidence of coverage for this plan. And then even links out to their site. So here's a provider directory tool that'll pop up in a new window for you to come out here and search their doctors or facilities to see if they're in network. Same thing with prescriptions or pharmacy in case you wanted to check with the carrier's site directly. All that's linked out to the carrier's specific sites. And I see some questions coming in. I'm going to circle around. I'm just going to try to get through my presentation at least as quickly as I can here because I'm trying to do a deep dive, and then I'll get back to your questions here at the end. Sorry. And then you also notice that was the plan details page, but we can click on these other tabs. So prescriptions, it's going to list, which tier basically this falls into. We have one drug under here in my example under preferred generic, and then one just under generic. If they were not covered, they'd show down here. You can kind of see here that like this one, for instance, like there's a quantity limit, and it kind of tells you what that is. That's prior authorization, quantity limit, and step therapy. If there's restrictions on there, it'll show. Under total costs, this will kind of give you a month-to-month breakdown based on maybe when or if they would hit that catastrophic or gap coverage. You'll notice here that the health costs are built into that. There's not really a way to remove those out, but that's just kind of based on the estimated annual cost that based on the information that your client has provided or you provided for your client, and then the information that we've received from the carrier and the carrier's plan designs, the system is providing an estimated health cost. But those are solely estimated, and if your client's healthy, they can, kind of choose to ignore that health cost. But this is just trying to help them get an idea what they could be looking for year over year. So we can also up here at the top switch to mail order in case we wanted to see if there was any cost savings. And we can just keep going back and forth, or we can edit the pharmacy directly from this page as well, which is really nice. So let's say we want to, we didn't actually like, maybe this, I clicked on the DSNP, so maybe this client's not dual eligible, so I'm just going to pull up a different plan here. So let's just send them the, actually, let me just send the multi-plan quote. I want to show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to send the quote. The client's going to put the client's email in here. If you wanted to provide your own free form message, that's where you could do that, and then you just have to click that send quote button. You will see here that you've successfully sent the quote, and here's the authorization code. And now back under their profile, it would have that same code as well. So there's multiple ways where you can pull that code back up. And the reason that code's kind of important is because your client gets two emails, one with the code that they are going to need, and then one with a link to the quote. So they have to click that view quote button, put in their authorization code, click continue. You can see my information still up here, down here. This is all unique to me, this code and quote that I sent. Like I said, anything that they do when they receive it from you, we want you guys to be getting credit for that sale. So this is why it always points back to you. And I was not ready to sell with Molina, which is why that dropped. But then you can see here it has their information that I entered, the preferences that we've included in here. And then down here at the bottom, they can pick a plan. Or they can continue past for it. They can look at a comparison, or they can shop other plans if they don't like what they're seeing. That plan details looks like the same plan details as you, so they also can see that month-over-month breakdown. But let's just say that they're like, okay, yeah, Medigold, I like that, or I'm going to enroll. They can click the add to cart and then continue to apply. And so that gets me basically to the kind of the spot where I'm actually going to talk through the enrollments. So there's multiple ways you can use MedicareAPP to enroll your member. One of which is just what I showed you. You send a quote to your client decides that they want to enroll themselves. They click the add to cart, they click continue to apply, click continue here, and it's going to take them over to the enrollment form for them to complete out themselves. Excuse me. Now you'll see that the information that we had in their profile does come over if we had some of this information in there, but it'll ask them to go through here. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and then submit it. So that's one method, is sending a quote to your client and then having them enroll. The second method I kind of showed you as well was, if you remember, under your account overview, there was that shopping link where they can literally create their own profile, plug in their own drugs, shop themselves, and enroll themselves. That's method 2. The third method is if you are using this as a face-to-face tool, which you can absolutely do, then you can enroll them for them basically by finding the plan that they want to enroll in and then clicking the add to cart. And if you are meeting with them face-to-face and you are going to be the one that actually completes the enrollment for them, you're going to click this complete and submit form myself. But as you guys know, and we've all had to deal with in this COVID environment, if we're not meeting with the client face-to-face and we need to make a remote sale, basically, what you can also do is, unlike previous years, you, the agent, can actually pre-populate the entire application for the member and then send it to them to just sign and submit, which is one of the biggest features that we added this year, in my opinion. So that's the method that I want to highlight and show you what that looks like today. So I'm going to click that button to send to beneficiary to sign and submit, and I'm going to click this continue to apply. And each time we do that, you do get this box that you're going to be redirected to the carrier's form. You're not navigating away from MedicareAPP, but each carrier submits their enrollment form to Connecture each plan year, which means that just like in the real world on paper applications, a MediGold enrollment is going to look different than an Anthem enrollment, and so on and so forth. It's going to be laid out just slightly different, with slightly different responses or selections that you can make. So just kind of know that there are some nuanced differences between carriers. But the information came over here, so I'm just going to choose mail here. 763-2247, put in my phone number. If it's required, it's marked with that little red asterisk. Click next. And plug in their Medicare claim number. And just know we can no longer take that. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys are past that as well, but it won't take the format of their social, followed by an alpha character, what those Medicare numbers used to look like. Here we can select an effective date. We get into the special election periods. Yeah, kind of just have to go through and answer the questions just like you would on any traditional application. Sorry if I'm going through that a little bit quick, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If you guys get in there and start to play around with the carriers, you can kind of look at those questions a little bit more deeply if you want to. But it's a lot of times, like I said, the same questions you can find on their paper enrollments. So after we get to this final review and submit section, you can go back and review everything. I am basically, as the agent, I am the person listed on this enrollment form, or I am simply helping to complete this enrollment form. So I kind of fall into that second tier. When you would select this second selection is if you're sending this enrollment to, let's say, a power of attorney. But in this case, we're not going to do that. And after I've completed everything, now I can send this enrollment form to the member. So just to recap, I plugged in the client into the system, I shopped their plans, maybe I sent them a quote, I called them up, I talked to them about their options. They wanted to go with MediGold, and I said, okay, great. Let me complete the application for you and then I'll send it over to you to review and to sign. And they say, okay, great. And so I came out here, added that plan to the cart that they selected. I completed the enrollment, and now I'm going to send it to them. So just like the scope of appointment, we have two options here now. We can email it to them or we can text it to them. Now, unlike the scope of appointment, but similar to the quote that you just saw, they're going to get either two texts or two emails, one with a code and then another to a link to this enrollment. So let me show you what that email looks like. Once again, here's that authorization code, and even a link to go back to this client's profile where you can see. Let me just show you that that we sent that. So down here now we have that quote history because we sent a quote. We also have this enrollment that we sent them with the authorization code for them to access that enrollment. So let me log out of here, go back into my inbox, refresh it. Here's our access code. We're going to need that once again. So they're either going to have to copy and paste that or write that down. And I should go through that. Members do have to have an email in order to do this remote selling, remote selling method that I'm showing you here today. If they don't have one and you're still meeting with them face-to-face, you can use the face-to-face method, and you would have just add to cart and then made that selection. I'm completing and submitting, right from that section. But it's just going to basically take their client, to this review and submit. They can review all their information right here to see if it's correct. Let's say you made an error. They can come back over here to the contact info and correct that, or maybe the Medicare number was messed up. They can fix that in the benefit info, and then they'll just navigate back over here to the review and submit. They'll come down here. They have to review all of these disclosures, obviously, and indicate that they understand and they're basically putting their electronic signature on this, and that once again they are the person listed on this enrollment form. And if they do that and hit submit, the enrollment will go through. Now this platform is very much live. You can test it just about as much as I just did here, but I want to stop you before you ever hit submit on an enrollment unless it's a true enrollment for the member, because I have to actually physically stop that with Connecture. So if you ever have that happen, notify me or the team as soon as possible, just so that we can stop it. So kind of going back over here, I know I'm kind of going a little bit quick and I got some questions coming in, and we only got about 7 minutes left. So that was the enrollment process. So once again, 4 different ways for you to enroll. You can send your client a quote. They can look at that quote and enroll themselves. You can send them the link to under your account overview for them to do everything for themselves. The third option is for you to use this as a face-to-face enrollment tool. Submit the enrollment right from your session of MedicareAPP with them right side by side with you. And really that fourth option is the ability for you to pre-complete the application for your member and then send it over to them for review and signature. Now, all of those enrollments process at the end of the day. So these enrollments aren't sent over one at a time, real time to the carriers. The system compiles all of the enrollments that are going to a specific carrier on that day and then delivers basically an electronic report to that carrier at the end of the day. And then so there is a slight delay usually between when you submit the application and when you can follow up and see it on the carrier's, appropriate sites, because MedicareAPP does not track application status. You still have to use traditional methods to track those statuses. And if you ever have any questions or issues, and you need help finding an application that was submitted through MedicareAPP to a carrier, let me or my team know. And after we would have completed this enrollment, it would show a complete enrollment in a little view button here. And then this authorization code would have changed to a confirmation number. And if you provide that confirmation number to me, I can work with Connexure to find that enrollment and follow up with the carrier on your behalf. So, with that, we kind of went through an example. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start asking questions. So now's a great time, if you have additional questions, to put them in the chat box. So, if we go with a non-licensed carrier, especially in another state, is there a referral commission? And it looks like, Jamie, you answered that. Unfortunately, there's no referral commission available in that case, at least nothing tracked through MedicareAPP anyway. And then Michelle asked, on the MAPD, is there any way to remove that health costs in drug comparison? That info is worthless and not helpful. And, I disagree slightly in regards to the worthless, but I do understand the need for agents to be able to remove that information. Now, over here on plans, I have inquired or asked Connexure to add a filter. Sorry here, I should have just kept that one profile up. But I asked them to basically look into adding an additional filter here instead of sorting by total estimated cost, by just sorting by drug cost. And I know that they are working towards that. They heard that because I'm not the only one that's provided that feedback. And, obviously if you've been in the system and you're using that as well, you guys have seen that as well. So it is something we're working towards. But I understand that those health costs can sometimes, swing those quotes in ways that, aren't necessarily appropriate. So you do sometimes want to look at those drug costs because some maybe plans down the line might cover their drugs better, but for whatever reason their estimated health costs were more, so they were further down the page. So just keep that in mind. Okay, some more questions here. So I do use the non-licensed company's link, and that's how I look at Devoted. Just wondered on actually entering an app. Okay, so yeah, Steve, sorry about that, but it was just a timing issue. But I do know that they were in contact with Connexure prior to AEP. It just didn't quite get done. So I hope that that moves forward here in the future. We have the question, under the drug illustration, can you turn off the estimated health cost numbers? So, similar to that question on the Medicare Advantage plan, unfortunately, we cannot do that at this point in time, but it is consistent feedback that I've been giving to Connexure, and I hope that they make that change coming up. So is there a way to save their app and SOA on our desktop so we can attach it to our system software so we can have a copy for our record? So absolutely, Julie, you can definitely do that. The best way that I would do that is, after you've completed that scope of appointment or enrollment, going over here to the search beneficiaries. So let's just use Jan 2021. That's just the one that I just did. I'll search for them, click on their name. And just taking a moment. And then so if the enrollment was here, you could click that little view button and it's going to pull up into a PDF. But let me show you, at least for the scope of appointment, how I would do that. I'd come over here, click this view button, open this with my PDF viewer, and then simply just save that PDF, basically to my desktop, and then from there you can attach it into whatever system that you have there yourself. And you could do the same thing with the enrollment. So I thought I saw another question, but maybe I was mistaken. So we're at 12 o'clock. I timed myself pretty good. I know most of you guys probably have to jump off here, but I truly appreciate your time. The SOA. Thank you, Brad. Good question. The SOA is saved forever. Yes, it will be saved year over year. And this time next year, it'll be on the 22 plan year version of MedicareAPP. But these SOAs just basically start to stack year over year as you continue to use the profile, just like the drugs. All that information is going to save and move forward year over year, including the enrollment information. That enrollment information in which plans you enroll them and everything in, with those confirmations, those move from plan year to plan year. So that information stays within the system.
Hey, Matt, this is Jamie. Just want to jump in real quick because, there was an additional question. I think I might have actually deleted it trying to answer the question. It was from William regarding, do we anticipate all carriers to accept EFT, electronic fund transfer payments for their plans? So we certainly hope so. We know a good majority of them do, but for those outliers, we hope that they do implement some form of EFT payments to collect premiums or credit card, accept credit card payments over the phone. So that was the question.
It's something we're trying to work with the carriers on, William, to be honest with you. I mean, I mentioned on those enrollment forms, each carriers provide their enrollment forms to Connecture. So really it's up to the carrier to be able to want to provide that information. So if there's a carrier that option's not available, it's because whether it's systems or their preference, they don't want to take that information at this point in time. So that's why that EFT option's turned off. But obviously we want all options and all functions to be available for all carriers. So that is feedback we take year over year and we take to our carrier partners. And I can even tell you for locally here, I definitely mention it to almost all of the reps that I can talk to about it, just so that they are aware of what things are available, because there's other options other carriers don't offer besides just EFT. For instance, Aetna, as an example, has an option on here for some of their plans when it's available for some of their plans on Medicare Advantage to add their optional supplemental benefits. Well, there are some carriers out here, not to pick on them, but like Anthem, that do not have the ability to enroll into their OSBs through MedicareAPP, but Aetna does. So we're trying to get a little bit more consistency on that front, carrier to carrier. If you guys have stuck with us over the last couple of years, you guys got to see the difference that we've made in this system. I mean, where we were at 4 years ago, we only had 4 carriers on this platform, and it didn't have near this functionality. Last year was a big push. 2020 plan year was a big push to just get as many carriers on here as we can. This last year, a lot of the effort on, integrity and cornerstones and everybody's part here for these platforms went to customizing this system for the new Medicare Center and some of these additional, complete the enrollment before sending it, text-based scopes and apps. Some of that new functionality was there, but they are going to try to consistently upgrade this system. So, and then Michelle was wondering if there can be an option under health to include those costs. Yeah, there's a couple of different ways we can handle those drug or the estimated health costs, and it does skew results. I know that. I've had that conversation quite a few times, but really, though, like I said, if you have a husband and wife with a shared email, I've seen some issues come in around that on both enrollments and scopes. So if they have smartphones, I encourage texting those folks. That's something that I run into pretty regularly. Make sure you, the agent, are going back in to complete your portion of the scope of appointment. That's always something that I bring, I get questions on as well, or I see a lot of them that aren't completed out there. If you guys have questions, cornerstonесeniormarketing.com, contact us. My information's there. There's Jamie who's doing presentation. That's me. Our contact's there. Reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Underneath Agent Toolkit, I know Jamie is talking a lot about that here. I want to say that here under Broker Centric is the webinar library. I hope that we get this presentation recording out here very soon. If you happen to miss the next two parts of this Medicare Center series that I'm doing, you'll be able to find the recordings here as well. A lot of good info on our website as well as Medicare Center. So just explore, reach out to us. We're always happy to help. Thank you, Brad. We appreciate, and Bill, appreciate you guys, your kind words there. Appreciate you guys using the system. Just keep up the great work. We really appreciate your partnership, and just let us know how we can help, okay? Especially this year during OEP. Make sure you guys are taking advantage of all the opportunities and tools that are available to you. So I'll go ahead and close it down with that. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your week, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We appreciate your time. Please feel free, as Matt said, to reach out to us. Have a great day.